reviewing the closing paragraph from chapter 22. For those of you that were there, wow, the close of chapter 22 called The Light of the Holy Relationship. Really amazing, powerful. So we'll pick it up with the theme that we left off on. Welcome to Miracles on High Plains. My name is Jonica, and our reader for this session is Julie.
It is necessary that you have other experiences, more in line with truth, to teach you what is natural and true. This is the function of your holy relationship. For what one thinks, the other will experience with him. What can this mean except your mind and your brothers are one? Look not with fear upon this happy fact, and think not that it lays a heavy burden on you. For when you have accepted it with gladness, you will realize that your relationship is a reflection of the union of the Creator and His Son. From loving minds there is no separation, and every thought in one brings gladness to the other, because they are the same. Joy is unlimited, because each shining thought of love extends its being and creates more of itself. There is no difference anywhere in it, for every thought is like itself.
Mm-hmm. So the holy relationship is a gift. I've never heard it explained so clearly as in A Course in Miracles, although perhaps other traditions have made reference to the experience. And so what it says here in the final paragraph is that in our life, up to a certain point, we had experiences that many times taught us the lessons of the ego, that we were weak or we were confused and uncertain, that we were judging and we felt guilty and we did not feel loved. Those experiences which reinforced principles of the ego. Here it says now it's necessary that we have other experiences, different experiences that are more in line with truth, and that those experiences occur within the framework of the holy relationship. And the description here is really very clear. It's where, how's it say? Where you are one with your brother, where you share a common mind, and that this experience is in a holy relationship between you and your brother reflects the union of the Creator and His Son. So it's a heavenly source of the Creator and the entire sonship of all creation. And the holy relationship is a reflection of that here in our experiences now. And so it's necessary that you have these kind of experiences to teach you and reinforce the principles that we're studying here in the course. And you can be sure that Holy Spirit will guide you through that process. You don't have to figure it out or have all the details in mind. You just have to be willing to recognize the light in another person. And when you do that, it's an invitation for them to recognize it within you as well. So that's where chapter 22 ended. We're moving on to chapter 23, very psychological in nature, the war against yourself. It's all interior conflict of a war of an illusion of yourself versus another illusion of yourself. And we're going to start off with the introduction to this chapter.
Do you not see the opposite of frailty and weakness is sinlessness? Innocence is strength, and nothing else is strong. The sinless cannot fear, for sin of any kind is weakness. The show of strength attack would use to cover frailty conceals it not. For how can the unreal be hidden? No one is strong who has an enemy, and no one can attack unless he thinks he has. Belief in enemies is therefore the belief in weakness. And what is weak is not the will of God. Being opposed to it, it is God's enemy. And God is feared as an opposing will. How strange indeed becomes this war against yourself. You will believe that everything you use for sin can hurt you and become your enemy. And you will fight against it and try to weaken it because of this. And you will think that you succeeded and attack again. It is as certain you will fear what you attack as it is sure that you will love what you perceive as sinless. He walks in peace who travels sinlessly along the way love shows him. For love walks with him there, protecting him from fear. And he will see only the sinless who cannot attack.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to describe an ego paradigm. Again, this is the ego's narrative of your experience. And it always is based upon your own sense of inadequacy, a sense of weakness, frailty, that ultimately leaves you in the direction of despair, hopelessness, resignation, and death. So we know that trail goes in one direction only. And so the ego then would have your mind be invested heavily in that concept of yourself. It's a self concept or a self image. I am inadequate. I am weak. And I am threatened by a world outside of me where power lies outside of me, and I must defend myself in that world. And one of the best forms of defense is to attack. And so it's just a vicious cycle within. The Course says that within the ego's framework, all the pieces fit together very logically. If you buy into the framework, they all interlace with one another. And so it does involve a belief in enemies, belief in attack. And what we learned in the previous section is that if one believes I am weak, but God is very strong, then one tends to view God as a threat and fear God. And so it becomes an entire worldview of everything as a threat to me. How strange indeed becomes this war against yourself. This is when we say it's a war against yourself, it's your own mind invested in believing all that nonsense and therefore creating war against your own truth, trying to hide the light within you. And so no one can be happy if he's under this circumstances. Efforts to and people certainly resort to extreme measures to try to distract themselves and numb themselves and substitute other things to try to get by in life while believing in these things. But ultimately, whatever substitutes we use wear off, and we're back to the false belief of our own inadequate nature. And so that's where the Holy Spirit has to help you to recognize that I am not weak, but strong. I am created as the Creator brought us all into being. Weakness is not the will of God. The Creator's infinite, and we are shrouded, encircled in the power of creation. Creation is ours. And yes, we have to learn the laws of creation so that we can operate in accordance with them. But the power is there, ours to use.
Walk you in glory with your head held high, and fear no evil. The innocent are safe because they share their innocence. Nothing they see is harmful, for their awareness of the truth releases everything from the illusion of harmfulness. And what seemed harmful now stands shining in their innocence, released from sin and fear, and happily returned to love. They share the strength of love because they looked on innocence. And every error disappeared because they saw it not. Who looks for glory finds it where it is. Where could it be but in the innocent?
Mm-hmm. It seems to me when the more we go through this journey with the Holy Spirit, the sense of being harmless and gentle, loving, but harmless in the sense of never attacking others, never attacking, using the mind to judge and attack others, to put others down, to characterize the things that we don't care about them, which is my term for that is weaponizing the mind. When the mind is believes that in fact it's our every right to make those judgments, the mind then becomes a device for attack, serves the ego's goal. And so nothing that the innocent see is harmless, is harmful. They have been released into a world of harmlessness, innocence. It's all combines together into a new perceptual system where we're not here to hurt anybody. We're here to be helpful for one another and without harm. And the biggest part of that is how you use your mind when it's tempted to judge others or not. And four, if you use your mind to judge others, then you have to bear the weight of judging yourself under the same criteria. And that's where the war against yourself unfolds, is the judgments that we make, sometimes very quietly and privately, the judgments against ourselves. Julie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jonica. One of the biggest learnings that has happened for me is the inevitability of what you just shared. I was ignorant to what was happening within myself, um, on top of the fact that my ego justified me judging other people. It took a while for me to be able to see how that was alive and well against myself and within myself. It took a while. Thank you.
It does take a while. It's actually, uh, my terms here, a profound psychological insight is that I've been hurting myself in the practices that I thought I was venting outward on others. I'm just rehearsing for the real battle against myself. So thank you for sharing that, Julie, because it reinforces what is really true for everyone that continues to work this course is we ultimately realize we're doing that to ourselves. And I'll go out here and say that the rest of the textbook is going to be about what we've been doing to ourselves. For once we stop self-judgment and see ourselves in the same light that the Holy Spirit sees ourselves, it's natural to see others in that light. It comes with effortlessly if you can see yourself as but an innocent soul. So the innocent are safe and secure because they share their innocence, they see it in others. All right, we'll continue on.
Let not the little interferers pull you to littleness. There can be no attraction of guilt in innocence. Think what a happy world. No, my apologies. Think what a happy world you walk with truth beside you. Do not give up this world of freedom for a little sigh of seeming sin, nor for a tiny stirring of guilt's attraction. Would you, for all these meaningless distractions, lay heaven aside? Your destiny and purpose are far beyond them, in the clean place where littleness does not exist. Your purpose is at variance with littleness of any kind, and so it is at variance with sin. Let us not let littleness lead God's Son into temptation. His glory is beyond it, measureless and timeless as eternity. Do not let time intrude upon your sight of him. Leave him not frightened and alone in his temptation, but help him rise above it and perceive the light of which he is a part. Your innocence will light the way to his, and so is yours protected and kept in your awareness. For who can know his glory and perceive the little and the weak about him? Who can walk trembling in a fearful world and realize that heaven's glory shines on him?
So, just a reminder the idea of littleness that is mentioned here was emphasized in the section entitled Littleness versus Magnitude, uh, which is really a captivating section. Talk about a reveal about ourselves that we've been identifying with our littleness and are not afraid, and we are afraid of our magnitude. As it was said, it's not our darkness that we're afraid of, it's our light. And so we tend to veer and lean into littleness. And then the entire world apparatus of media and advertising, it all follows suit with leaning into littleness. And littleness is, of course, inadequacy and weakness and uncertainty and self-doubt, etc. So the emphasis here is about not letting little interferences pull you into littleness. And the Course will increasingly emphasize subtle reactions that you might have to situations, people, places, and things that where you don't have a full blown, strong emotional reaction, but you have just like an annoyance where you're just privately flinch to yourself, perhaps don't say anything or let it go, but still buy in to the role of being the judge of things going on around you, but only in perhaps far more subdued terms than when you first began this journey. For the Course will say, even those little interferences can pull you into littleness. And this will require more mind watching, that you're paying attention to how you respond to situations, particularly the ones that you don't particularly care for, that strike you as odd or inappropriate, and can you see them in the same light of innocence as you would see those things which are very gentle and kind. And so let us not let littleness lead us into temptation. And those opportunities, I believe, will come every day of your life. Something will happen that might not be to your preference, to your liking, and you might respond, oh, well, this isn't the way I want it. And what we're going to learn is that those two serve as barriers or blocks to our fully accepting the holy instant, the holy relationship, the possibilities that are available to us in the holy relationship. So we're going to finish up with the introduction to this chapter.
Nothing around you but is part of you. Look on it lovingly and see the light of heaven in it. So will you come to understand all that is given you. In kind forgiveness will the world sparkle and shine, and everything you once thought sinful now will be reinterpreted as part of heaven. How beautiful it is to walk clean and redeemed and happy through a world in bitter need of the redemption that your innocence bestows upon it. What can you value more than this? For here is your salvation and your freedom, and it must be complete if you would recognize it.
Mm-hmm. So the happy dream and the real world were created for you to be happy, to enjoy. Everything around you is part of the extension of this broader plan of creation. And so through holy eyes that recognize the light within and then look out with holiness, we can look out on the world, the real world, lovingly and recognize the light. Just as an aside, recently I've been experiencing it as what I call rain. And by rain, I'm referring to when it's raining outside, but I mean it metaphorically. The world heaven is raining down upon our world with blessings and light and the plan of creation. It's a spiritual energy that is raining down upon us. And my mind is inclined to forget that. And so this is just a way in which I remember to look on the world lovingly and see the light of heaven in it. For heaven is raining down upon us. And so this would be just another part of mind watching, that you keep your mind not drifting into littleness, but you periodically reassert your will is that the light, I am a part of the light is in me, and I'm here to extend the light and to recognize the light of heaven in my experience. The world is waiting for you to recognize the light in others. So that brings about our first section in this chapter, entitled The Irreconcilable Beliefs. And I might want just point out to you, this will become more evident in just a moment, but Time magazine in the 1960s featured an article about Friedrich Nietzsche, who questioned, is God dead? And so when we read about that in the section to follow, know that this is not just some abstract idea, but this was somewhat popularized, being on the cover of Time magazine.
The memory of God comes to the quiet mind. It cannot come where there is conflict. For a mind at war against itself remembers not eternal gentleness. The means of war are not the means of peace, and what the warlike would remember is not love. War is impossible unless belief in victory is cherished. Conflict within you must imply that you believe the ego has the power to be victorious. Why else would you identify with it? Surely you realize the ego is at war with God. Certain it is, it has no enemy. Yet just as certain is its fixed belief it has an enemy that it must overcome and will succeed.
So the ego has declared war on God. Of course, God pays no attention to such illusions. So God doesn't reciprocate, but instead the ego recruits your mind into the warfare and causes and pits one part of your true self, I should say, pits your false self against your true self. I'm really prompted here to remind you, in the first 6 chapters of the textbook, which is where the foundational ideas are put on, it talks about the basic conflict of human experience. And many words can be used to describe that. But the basic conflict is between using the power of your mind to miscreate, to put your power into ego concepts and notions, which is a miscreation, a faulty creation, making illusions real. The basic conflict is between miscreating versus creating in light and love. That's the basic conflict of human experience. And as long as we go, the power to create in light and love will always be with us. But the war is introduced when our mind is used for another purpose, and used for miscreation. So conflict within must imply that you believe the ego has the power, that you believe the ego has the power. Many Course in Miracles students respond as if the ego has the power. The truth is, we gave it our power. Conflict within means you believe the ego has the power, and plus the power to be victorious. Why else would anyone identify with the ego if we didn't think it had something that we wanted?
Do you not realize a war against yourself would be a war on God? Is victory conceivable? And if it were, is this a victory that you would want? The death of God, if it were possible, would be your death. Is this a victory? The ego always marches to defeat because it thinks that triumph over you is possible, and God thinks otherwise. This is no war. Only the mad belief the will of God can be attacked and overthrown. You may identify with this belief, but never will it be more than madness. And fear will reign in madness and will seem to have replaced love there. This is the conflict's purpose. And to those who think that it is possible, the means seem real.
So there's a little bit of a tricky idea here. To the ego, it seems like there is a war going on against God. And it seeks to draw your mind into believing it, believing the ego. So that's one point of view. From the Holy Spirit's point of view, this is no war. This is just madness. This is just an illusion, insanity, attempting. You could say it's much ado about nothing. It's tempting to make a big drama around something that could not possibly happen. How are you going to fight a war against God? So, in truth, this is no war, but there is a mad belief that the will of God is somehow separate and alien and other, that the power that God possesses, here's the way I think of it, it's the belief that the power that God possesses can be used against you. It's this is the fear of God, is that his power is like he's a mean God and is going to use it against you. This is what the ego would have you tremble in, that belief, and develop your entire stance towards yourself, towards others, and life in general based upon this existential fear of God.
Be certain that it is impossible God and the ego, or yourself and it, will ever meet. You seem to meet and make your strange alliances on grounds that have no meaning. For your beliefs converge upon the body, the ego's chosen home, which you believe is yours. You meet at a mistake, an error in your self-appraisal. The ego joins with an illusion of yourself you share with it, and yet illusions cannot join. They are the same, and they are nothing. Their joining lies in nothingness. Two are as meaningless as one or 1,000. The ego joins with nothing, being nothing. The victory it seeks is as meaningless as is itself. Brother, the war against yourself is almost over. The journey's end is at the place of peace. Would you not now accept the peace offered you here? This enemy you fought as an intruder on your peace is here transformed before your sight into the giver of your peace. Your enemy was God himself, to whom all conflict, triumph, and attack of any kind are all unknown. He loves you perfectly, completely, and eternally. The Son of God at war with his Creator is a condition as ridiculous as nature roaring at the wind in anger, proclaiming it is part of itself, no more. Could nature possibly establish this and make it true? Nor is it up to you to say what shall be part of you and what is kept apart. The war against,
Oh,
sorry.
all right, we'll pick up that again in a minute, Julie. Thank you. So, a big drama going on here. As always, the ego likes to make things very emotional, very dramatic, and the know that the fundamental error in our minds that leads us, the starting point that leads us astray, is an error in our self-appraisal, an error, a mistake in the way we think about ourselves. It's a failure to know thyself. Socrates advocated that we know thyself, know your true nature. It's a mistaken concept of self or self-concept. And this is why this program is so psychological in nature, because it all goes on in your interior world in how you define yourself or misdefine yourself, we should say. And then with that error, the ego reinforces it and joins with this illusion of yourself that you share with it. So this is an unholy alliance between your own self-concept and the ego. And it's a misidentification with the ego, and separation is inevitable based on that error. And therefore, that cause of the error must be corrected, must be undone. The error has to be undone. And then the truth can come rushing in. I am as God created me. We are God's children. We are essential to his plan of salvation. We are of the very same nature as the creator. Didn't it say in Genesis, let us make man in the image of ourselves? And so the remainder of this program will keep coming back to, it says in the course that for total healing, complete healing, You must go all the way to the beginning where the error began, the error and separation began. Yes, it is possible for certain healing modalities to massage the surface and of course says those will have short-term effects at best, but not lasting effects. To have last true healing, which lasts forever, we must get to the center of the error and undo that error and have it replaced with the truth. The light of God is within us and is, in fact, our true nature. I hope didn't skip anything here, Joy.
Nope.
Keep me honest.
Yeah, we're good. The war against yourself was undertaken to teach the Son of God that he is not himself and not his Father's Son. For this, the memory of his Father must be forgotten. It is forgotten in the body's life, and if you think you are a body, you will believe you have forgotten it. Yet truth can never be forgotten by itself, and you have not forgotten what you are. Only a strange illusion of yourself, a wish to triumph over what you are, remembers not. The war against yourself is but the battle of two illusions, struggling to make them different from each other in the belief that one conquers will be true. There is no conflict between them and the truth. Nor are they different from each other. Both are not true, and so it matters not what form they take. What made them is insane, and they remain part of what made them. Madness holds out no menace to reality and has no influence upon it. Illusions cannot triumph over truth, nor can they threaten it in any way. And the reality that they deny is not a part of them.
So, in summary, let's go back to the beginning, which is the memory of God. In truth, your the light within you can never forget that its source comes from the Creator. That's an eternal gift. Truth can never be forgotten by itself. What can happen is temporarily a strange illusion of yourself can come to take its place and recruit your mind into buying into that illusion. Now you have a double illusion. You have an illusion that you are not of the Creator, and you have the further illusion of your mind believing that that is true. It's a double illusion. The ego uses this a lot, two-layered illusion. So even if you catch on to one, you are less likely to catch on to both. And so it's a when we talk about the war against yourself, we're not talking in the realm of truth. We're talking about a battle that occurs within a framework of illusions, one illusion pitted against another, and illusions can never triumph over the truth. They can never change the truth in any way. The memory of God still lies deep within you and is awaiting your willingness to see yourself and the world as innocent so that it might return fully to your awareness, for it will never force its way into your consciousness. it comes only when it's welcome. And so our task is to be willing to let go of those double illusions and not even, and didn't we read about it earlier, even the little interferences, to not even permit little irritations, little grievances to bother us, but to recognize they too are but forms of attack, and that if we're to live a life that is harmless and is only helpful, then our mind cannot be used as a weapon of attack. So, the truth remains patient. The memory of the Father remains forever within us.
What you remember is a part of you, for you must be as God created you. Truth does not fight against illusions, nor do illusions fight against truth. Illusions battle only with themselves. Being fragmented, they fragment. But truth is indivisible and far beyond their little reach. You will remember what you know when you have learned you cannot be in conflict. One illusion about yourself can battle with another. Yet the war of two illusions is a state where nothing happens. There is no victor and there is no victory. And truth stands radiant, apart from conflict, untouched and quiet in the peace of God. Conflict must be between two forces. It cannot exist between one power and nothingness. There's nothing you could attack that is not part of you. And by attacking it, you make two illusions of yourself in conflict with each other. And this occurs whenever you look on anything that God created with anything but love. Conflict is fearful, for it is the birth of fear. Yet what is born of nothing cannot win reality through battle. Why would you fill your world with conflicts with yourself? Let all this madness be undone for you, and turn in peace to the remembrance of God still shining in your quiet mind.
Mm-hmm. So this is deep, and this is perhaps the essence of the section here, this war within ourselves that's going on. What is that all about? So, a couple principles. We said one, the memory of God can never be lost. And so, in truth, your soul cannot be in conflict in truth. Now, your lower consciousness, the one that operates most of the time, can get caught up and miscreate and believe in illusions and experience conflict. And that conflict always, this is the deeper truth, that conflict is an inner conflict. It comes about by making two illusions of yourself in conflict with each other, so that I felt this before. I submit that you can recognize it too, where I'll use first person terms, where I'm invested in my idols or my prior versions of myself, and maybe, reluctant to let that go right in the moment. And at the same time, I know that's my ego self. That's not my higher self. And strangely enough, I know that prior version of myself is not going to be in my best interest. But because I've given it this power, I'm reluctant to let it go. And so it's literally like the devil. You might have seen the image before, an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other. I mean, it's literally, and they're me, both of them. My voice is being given to both of them, two illusions in conflict with each other. And how does that come about? Make this very clear. If you're taking notes, this is the note. How does that come about when you look on anything that God created with anything other than love? For God looks only on the things he created with love. And if you are not looking on those things with love, then you're miscreating, meaning you're looking on them as lacking in love. And you recall for you that lack of love is the definition the Course gives to sin, looking on things with lack of love, as if there's a shortage of love in God's creation. And so all of that is very plainly stated here as the birth of fear, looking on things with lack of love, using your mind to miscreate. Right there, not saying you're always conscious of it, but that's where fear is given birth. For it's a way of separating. When you look on something without love, you basically separate yourself from it. In psychology, it's called object relations. It's a sense of this is me and that's something else, not me. I'm not identified with that. And so the minute we take that posture, we look on things without love, introduce conflict, and give birth to fear. Now, none of that means that it's a reality, but it sure is an illusion that we can get all wrapped up in and caught up into. In truth, let this madness be undone and turn in peace to the light still shining in your quiet mind.
See how the conflict of illusions disappears when it is brought to truth? For it seems real only as long as it is seen as war between conflicting truths. The conqueror to be the truer, the more real, and the vanquisher of the illusion that was less real, made an illusion by defeat. Thus, conflict is the choice between illusions. One to be crowned as real, the other vanquished and despised. Here will the Father never be remembered. Yet no illusion can invade his home and drive him out of what he loves forever. And what he loves must be forever quiet and at peace, because it is his home.
So one might ask, why is all this emphasis? We're still talking about this war against yourselves. Why put so much focus on that? And it's ultimately so that you will learn there's a battlefield out there waiting for you to dive into your latest grievance or complaint or peeve. And the minute you step onto that battlefield, you participate in the terms of the illusion, one illusion against other. It's very easy, as we know, to get lost and caught up in all that drama, for it seems so real in the moment, making illusions real. It seems so real. And the whole purpose of this is that you would take up the task of training your mind to not step onto the battlefield, to rise above it, to literally, okay, figuratively, just stay above it and think, no thanks, I'm not going to engage in that conflict, that battle. We know now it's just two illusions battling against one another, one attempting to become the victor over the other. Who would want to invest emotions and time in such an endeavor that leads to nothing? So that's the choice, is mind training not to engage in the battlefield. Before we get there, perhaps we have to learn when we are on the battlefield, the best thing to do is to leave the battle and not to try to remain around and prove your point. And what is it? Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? To choose for happiness, which is to choose to leave the battlefield. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. Well, not yet.
You who are beloved of him are no illusion, being as true and holy as himself. The stillness of your certainty of him and of yourself is home to both of you, who dwell as one and not apart. Open the door of his most holy home and let forgiveness sweep away all trace of the belief in sin that keeps God homeless and his Son with him. You are not a stranger in the house of God. Welcome your brother to the home where God has set him in serenity and peace and dwells with him. Illusions have no place where love abides, protecting you from everything that is not true. You dwell in peace as limitless as its creator, and everything is given those who would remember him. Over his home, the Holy Spirit watches, sure that its peace can never be disturbed.
Mhm. So the lesson here, which we should all practice, let this become a week of practice. And we'll state it in words first and then we'll talk about it. To open the door of Spirit's most holy home and let forgiveness sweep away all trace of the belief and lack of love. Let God's heavenly blessing rain down on us so that we can recognize it and see it with our spiritual vision. Let forgiveness sweep away those battle elements, which are surely you're going to notice them. They're going to pass your way, but choose. And this is, when we say let forgiveness, this is definitely a mind training practice. This is not just using a few words, although that's a helpful step in the right direction. This definitely takes practice until your mind can find that place where the illusions of the battle no longer matter to you, where you're no longer invested in them.
How can the resting place of God turn on itself and seek to overcome the one who dwells there? And think what happens when the house of God perceives itself divided. The altar disappears, the light grows dim, the temple of the Holy One becomes a house of sin, and nothing is remembered except illusions. Illusions can conflict because their forms are different, and they do battle only to establish which form is true. Illusion meets illusion, truth itself. The meeting of illusions leads to war. Peace, looking on itself, extends itself. War is the condition in which fear is born and grows and seeks to dominate. Peace is the state where love abides and seeks to share itself. Conflict and peace are opposites. Where one abides, the other cannot be. Where either goes, the other disappears. So is the memory of God obscured in minds that have become illusion's battleground. Yet far beyond this senseless war it shines, ready to be remembered when you side with peace.
Yeah, so these two opposite states of mind are we're both capable of at any time, conflict or peace. And it is true that where we choose one, the other cannot be. The other disappears. And so the choice for peace has to be a heartfelt commitment that I choose to live a life of peace. It's most of us have the experience of choosing peace for the moment. I would like to be at peace right now. But peace comes from a heartfelt commitment of valuing something. To me, it's a life choice. I choose a life of peace, and I'm on a path that will help me to sweep away all evidences of lack of love and let forgiveness enter in. And so this is a journey of 1,000 steps or 365 lessons repeated again and again. And each of us has the opportunity to let forgiveness sweep away all those temptations to belittle, to enter into conflict and misery and judgment and fear and guilt. Know that even when we are caught up in those things, it can be no more than a temporary condition, for peace is assured to all those who choose a path of peace. So that's the introductions and section 1 to the war within yourself. It seems there is a power in you that is victorious over all this, and the illusion must be identified so that it can be recognized, and we will continue to make that known as we go further on in this chapter. So thank you all for your attention. Julie, thank you for your reading. Look forward to seeing you again real soon. We'll have another session tomorrow. God bless and namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, everyone.
Namaste. Thanks,
Have a
Julie.
great night. You're welcome.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, Jonica.
Great reading, Julie. Good night.
Thank
You're welcome, Georgette.